Hi, my name is An, and I'm going to be your guide throughout this spoken English tutorial series. This is going to be part number 2. In this part, I'm going to talk about listening and why listening should come before speaking. The truth is that most people learn English and they do not practice listening. They read a lot of magazines. They read a lot of textbooks, a lot of English materials. They try to memorize vocabulary lists, but they don't actually watch movies, YouTube clips, news, and they don't actually listen to real English. The question is that, can we really learn English by listening? Well, we do know that babies first listen and then they imitate and they repeat whatever they hear. They repeat after whatever their moms and dads say. And that's how they learn their languages, their mother languages. But according to scientists, after the age of 13, it's harder for humans to learn languages purely from listening. However, of course, you can still gain a lot from listening. And in fact, you will not be able to speak a language well if you don't listen to it. If we could, then we would be able to speak Latin. And we all know that no one can speak Latin because it's a language that no one speaks anymore. Here are my tips for listening. Just relax, right? You're going to watch movies, you're going to listen to music. Just make it effortless. Your goal is to just identify the patterns, the sound patterns, because you want to know where the words start and where they end, and then you will use the dictionary to memorize how the phrases are spoken and how they're pronounced. Again, just relax. Make it effortless. Relax. Enjoy the process. The most common objection, but I cannot understand native speakers' English. Well, if that's your objection, if that's your only objection, then don't think that you will learn how to speak English by not listening to English. You will not understand English if you never listen to it. Reading a lot of English textbooks instead of listening will definitely not help you. And we live in a pretty advanced age, and subtitles are your saviors. You use them the right way and they will definitely help you improve your listening comprehension. Write down the words after you are finished listening, and then use your dictionary to memorize their meanings. Example number 1, understanding American movies. Remember that when you listen to American movies, you will hear a lot of shortened phrases and slangs. Here's an example. I wouldn't necessarily want to buy it, but, or sometimes they say, I wouldn't necessarily want to buy it, but, and it reads more like this. And it's not the most exact way, but you get the point. Listen, turn on the subtitles, identify where the words start and where they end. And pay attention to the words like but, because that's one of the way you can use English intonation to give some additional meanings to otherwise meaningless words. And that's how English is spoken there. Another example is, Bob is on the phone right now, he can't possibly be in 2 places at once. And it reads something like, Bob is on the phone right now. It reads just like one sound unit. He can't possibly be in 2 places at once. But that again, it's not exact phonetics, but you get the point. Again, the sounds are eaten up That's how American English sounds. It's very lazy and it's usually very fast. Or listen to my example. Okay, here's my example. Then you've got to tone it down. Some of these people are really interested in what you've got to say, but you're offending them with your language. All right. If you couldn't understand what I just said, you can download the transcripts below this video. There's going to be a link where you can click, which you can click and download the transcripts. You will sometimes not understand what you hear, and that's mainly because American English is very fast, as I've already told you, and it eats up a lot of sounds. The speakers eat up a lot of sounds. Like the words want to is sometimes, if in fast speech, spoken as wanna. Do you want to light a cigarette? Do not worry, some Americans cannot understand their own language. Well, not like they cannot understand their own language. It's more like there are so many accents of American English that sometimes they cannot understand the accents. For example, black people have their own accents, and people from the South have their own accents, and yeah, Americans sometimes cannot understand their own people. Now your homework. Pick a movie with subtitles or any other audio CD with transcripts, or maybe just watch the news, although preferably if you have a blog post to like to use as reference, and otherwise you will not understand anything there. And practice listening to these mediums every day. Your goal is to recognize patterns. Just make it effortless, relax, right? Your goal is just to recognize where the words start and where they end, and then you use the dictionary to understand their meanings. And that's done only after you have finished listening and training your ear. Most importantly, you gotta do it every day. You gotta love it. You make the process both fun and effortless. I'm pretty sure that you're interested in some topic that can be found in English, right? So if you're interested, for example, in gardening, you can find some resources about gardening. Or if you're interested in fitness or in computers, you can find some English resources on these topics. Of course, the most surprising thing when you will realize is that when you actually listen to a native speaker speaking to you, like person to person, you might find that their English is much more easier to understand than whatever you hear on the news, for example. The news are the hardest to understand. Okay, next lesson I'll talk about how to construct sentences on the fly. This lesson will be for everyone, for anyone, for all those people who cannot speak English without actually pausing and thinking a lot about what's the next thing to say. So stay tuned, and thank you. My name is An, and more tips are available at www.englishspeakingtips.com. Thanks.